There's several things that we need to do now to get ready for spring. Now's a good time to free up space that's been used up by winter crops that have spent. We've harvested everything we could harvest from them, and now it's time to remove them and make way for spring. Have you? Just chuck it down there. We're putting most of the stinging nettles out so that they don't get such a big hold next season. Just trying to weaken them a little bit. Removing all the perennial weeds now will give us such an advantage come spring, because perennial weeds already have an established root system, so they're able to grow much faster than our poor annual crops or even perennials that we're just getting established. A lot of you have asked, do we use cardboard down the allotment? We do. We use it to repress the weeds on the beds and make a really strong foundation for our beds next year. Got to make sure we remove all the plastic. Now the beds are clear, we have a great opportunity to put nutrients back in the soil, but first we have a different job that we need to get to. This job is basically two jobs in one. We need to clean out the chicken coop. The chicken coop we have is a deep bedding method, so we layer up wood chips in the run month after month after month. It's an absolute ton of compost too. This method is fantastic for our chickens because it stops the build-up of manure, etc., and gives them a nice area that they can run around in. We get a ton of usable compost at the end of the year. Compost in here is really rich with organic matter and is perfect for breaking up our clay soil. And the homesteading mindset isn't about just making the use of what you can buy or what you can grow. It's about making use of waste products too. Adding manure every year, only just a few inches, will suppress the weeds and really give a good foundation for our plants to establish really strong and healthy root growth. We don't want anything that's hard and compacted, and we have clay soil. Clay soil is notorious for being hard and compacted. The chicken compost makes a massive difference to this bed, and I think that this is probably going to grow better than even the horse manure because it's so well broken down. There's absolutely no foul smell to the compost, so it's okay to use. It's going to be a few months until we actually plant in it. Remember, chicken manure, hot compost, so you don't want to put it on the top and then plant a load of plants in it because they'll get burnt. Now that the beds are completely done, we're going to go ahead and fix the paths. We're using this wave of meth on our paths. This is really good stuff because it breaks down over time, leaving nothing plastic related on the ground. So we can scrape up the wood chips and put them on the beds later on when they've broken down. We then cover it in wood chips, will break down over time and produce a really good environment for microbes and little critters that are in the soil. One of the most important ones is cleaning out our spaces. Places like my greenhouse has become a dumping ground, and I can't bring down the seedlings that I need to that I grow in the tent because it frees up space for frost tender crops. Another task we need to do to get ready for spring is to remove any dead crops. Now, these flowers, I kind of left them way too long because I thought they looked so beautiful, but now look at them. There's absolutely no point of me having them. So removing them will be really beneficial. It will stop any insects from overwintering in them. We don't want any insects that are going to be a pest to overwinter in anything that we have here. And it will give so much room for new growth. For any crops that I'm not sure if the chickens can eat them, or like these, they're dead and they're not going to give the chickens very much value, I put them in the compost. This will break down into beautiful soil that we can once again use in the allotment. But all of this is absolutely mute unless we're actually sowing seeds to put in here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that later. Watering is also one of those jobs that we just don't think about coming up to spring, but if you've got stuff in the greenhouse, it's absolutely fundamental, or it's going to dry out, and it's surprising how much water they do need. Pruning and thinning is a great thing to be doing this time of year. The plants are all dormant. This is a great opportunity to go through and remove any branches that you don't want to have. Remember, you don't want to cut too much back. It's 1/3 that you want to cut off maximum. To stop the spreading of diseases, we do want to go ahead and wash all of these tools. They have bits of debris and grimness on them, so we're going to wash them in soap and water with a little bit of vinegar in it so that we aren't spreading any diseases or pests from one season to the next. Perennial crops like these strawberries can get away from you. They spread everywhere with their runners. Now we need to go through and give ourselves nice little lines, because if they're too close together, they're going to be absolutely unproductive and spread diseases. One of the most important ways we're getting ready for spring is sowing seeds. I like to start all my seeds indoors. I find it much easier. You can sow directly later on in the season for some products, but really I like to sow indoors if I can. I literally go through and look for characteristics that I enjoy. So for example, I want big broccolis, big cabbages, and multi-coloured tomatoes. I don't do anything particularly that special when it comes to sowing seeds. I think it's good to start off with a good organic compost, but to be honest, I get these 3 for £13 at the allotment. But I also think it's really important to buy compost that you can afford, so get the best one that you can afford. So how I do it is I'm just going to add 2 seeds per cell of different varieties until it's done. What varieties are you sowing this year? I'd love to know. The tomatoes are going to stay in the seed tent until about May 1st. And to see how we pot them up and maintain our seedlings until we plant them out, make sure you're subscribed. To make sure your seeds germinate, make sure that they are well watered, they're nice and warm, and that they're completely, utterly frost-free until you plant them out. We have a ton of grow lights and the perfect conditions to have tons and tons of seedlings, so that's why we start them so early. The benefit of starting them really early is come spring, they've got sizable plants, will be much further ahead. It's best to start your seedlings according to how you're going to grow them. If you're going to have seed lights and a tent, etc., then you can start them whenever you want within reason. But if you don't and you're going to start them on a windowsill, best thing to do is find out your frost date and start them 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. This means that they won't be getting leggy. You don't want leggy seedlings, which means that they get a bit too tall and they flop over. I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers that have sent me seeds. I absolutely love them. I'm going to grow them all this year.